couldn't. She said, I had about 3. I had 3. And we began to realize that the kids could, but they didn't. And by having a conversation with them, just that one-on-one, eye-to-eye contact that this guy, Stevens, and I can't remember his first name, has this book. He formed what's called a Gentleman's Club. And he says that first, with kids, first you have to capture them. Followed by that, you have to inspire them. And then you teach them. That if you don't first capture and inspire, you're probably not going to be able to teach. And I thought, could it be this simple? As simple as saying, I'm watching you. And so, you know, sometimes, you know, we became a high-performing school, we became a model school, we became internationally one of 5 schools in the nation to close the achievement gap. We had received all kinds of awards. And it was just a personal relationship because of the personal relationship that I had. It all comes back. It's like you come back full circle and you're doing these things. And I think God has a sense of humor because I thought, you know, this is stuff that happened to me. But I didn't realize when I was doing it that that was why I was doing it. So, you know, because it was like Mr. Scott was always watching me and saying, I'm watching. So, you know, I would go down the hall and I go, you watching you. And this one little girl said to me, Mrs. Jessie, I'll pass the thing, but just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. And I thought, okay, I've done my job.
So what kind of things do you think the Civil Rights Movement and the Civil Rights Act changed? What do we see differently today?
I think you see a lot of African Americans in leadership positions that would not be there. I know I wouldn't be where I am. There's absolutely no way. There in Prince William County, there are more principals than I've ever seen that are African American. I probably had the most African American people on my staff, diversity on my staff. But years ago, they weren't there. You know, I mean, African Americans, where 2 African Americans are in the same building, is just not something that is a big issue anymore. Because we realize that there are people who have ability. But at the same time, what's happening now, we went from the land of no signs, and now to people being subtle. But people are now beginning to they're not putting up physical signs, but they're coming out with a verbal sign, and they're saying things like, these kids don't have the ability, these parents, their parents don't work. And yet our African Americans are people, the hardest working people I know. And I'm thinking, as this politician, and I won't name him, as you're in that big hotel up there, who's cleaning your room? Who are you going to miss first? The manager or the person cleaning your room? Mm-hmm. You're probably going to miss the person cleaning your room. Mm-hmm. And they're still doing that kind of work and just believing that people can move up, but at the same time, there are people who still have that fixed mindset that we don't have the intellectual power. And what I've seen since Obama, President Obama, has just blown me. It was so obvious to me that it is who he is, that people just can't handle it. I mean, everything this man does.
Meaning because he's African American?
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt in my mind. Mm-hmm. It's because of who he is. I mean, some of the stuff makes absolutely no sense. And so people who were in the land of signs have come out.
And what do you mean by the land of signs?
Well, you know, there were signs up, don't come in. Then there was actually a period where they were embarrassed about what they've done. They did. Yet signs are coming back in the sense that people are just saying out loud things that they would never say. You know, he's African. He's you see these caricatures of him, and they're being blatant about it. They're saying things out loud that for a period of time after Brown, after the Civil Rights Movement, they held in. We're going to come up with a way. We're going back to the voting piece that's going on right now. We're going to block people from voting. And they're out, and they come up with all these rationales for doing so for women. And it's not just African American, it's women. Like, who would think that men would want to tell you when you can have a baby and how you can have a baby, and we want to check you? I think they should have babies. Let them have babies. I think that's fair. Guys who are telling women what to do. And when I look at the ceiling, this glass ceiling has not been broken, really. We still have women who have not moved up. We still have lots of African Americans who have not really moved up. Some of us have moved up, but I think that we're going back and pulling people with us. You know, you bring people with you. I think we need to do a little bit more of that, because I think there's a comfort level that's happened with some African Americans. Like, you know, I've got my rights, and sometimes I hear African Americans talking about these parents don't care, and these kids just don't have it. But I said to them, imagine if you at grade 4, you figure out you can't read and nobody's going to teach you how to read, but you're forced to show up every single day until 12th grade, because that's the law, and sit in a room where you really don't know what's going on. And you don't want your friends to know, because by then you've got pride. So we wonder why kids drop out. When you look at, there are books called The Pipeline to Jail, from high school to jail, the pipeline. These African American kids, the literacy level is just at the bottom. These are not criminals. These are kids who've not been taught. And if you start looking at them as kids who've not been taught how to read, they want to have a life too, and they've determined. I heard on Howard University years ago that some kids make an executive decision to drop out. Executive decision. And he started talking about slavery, and I thought, oh no, here we go with the slavery thing. And then I listened to what he had to say about that, you know, we notoriously want to go out and help our family. So you're thinking, well, if I am not I'm going to be working at McDonald's or maybe somewhere minimum wage, maybe, anyway, because I'm not going to college. I may as well drop out now. Or the need to belong. So they join gangs. Because they're not in any of those, you know,